Ladies and gentlemen, welcome here to another episode of the Soul Sessions featured here on Wrestling Republic. Now, if you have ever been screwed over in the ring by your opponent, or ever been dumped by an ex and have no way to get back at them and you need representation, ladies and gentlemen, we have the man of the hour. You need that representation. Eric Schultz will represent you. How are you, Eric?
Oh, I'm doing good, Ben. It's nice to be here. I'm always in favor of a little extra advertising for the law offices of Eric Schultz.
Oh, well, we always like some good representation. Fight those crimes and get the money you deserve. Hey,
Oh, hey, what are we doing? If not trying to get paid, you know what I'm saying?
exactly. Live a little, earn the money, go home, drink a whiskey and coke, and have a nice, relaxing night. Doesn't that sound like a plan?
Hey,
I like that mentality. Well,
right on
before we
cue.
get on, so for our viewers who are not familiar with yourself, Eric, Eric, what was your interest? Like, what got you into wrestling in the first place, pal?
Oh, for sure. So back in, I'd say, the late 90s, I was into wrestling during the Monday Night Wars, and I was just in junior high. And my brother, who's 10 years older than me, was a big wrestling fan, got me into it. But I'd say, Ben, after that, about 20 years went by, and I really wasn't that into it anymore until about 2019. And then in 2019, I went to a couple of local indie shows with a buddy. And I remember I went to one. I thought right away, man, this looks like a lot of stinking fun. And so I went and talked to some of the wrestlers after the show. And the number one question I was asking all of them was, how old are you? Because I was 32 at the time. And I was thinking, that's just too old to be breaking into the biz. But, a lot of them were kind of like, yeah, I'm in my 20s. I'm like, darn it. These kids are young. They've probably been doing it for a while. This is too old. I'm too old. I'm too old to be getting in the biz like this. But one guy said to me, he said, hey, man, I didn't even ask really. He just kind of could feel it or sense it from me. But he said, hey, man, if you're thinking about getting into business, you're never too old. And I never even said I was thinking about getting into business. I was just asking everybody what their age was. But he said that, and I thought, oh, man, all right. So started looking for some wrestling schools, and rest is history.
Oh, well, hey, fair enough, pal. We actually had August Artois, who's a part of Control Your Narrative, EC3's
Oh,
promotion.
yeah, yeah.
He started at a later age as well. I was wondering, we asked him as well, did you find any, prejudice towards you because of your age, or like any like mistreatment, or do you feel like it was very accepting?
That's a very good question. And no, I've been generally well received at my age. A lot of it, Ben, is just kind of knowing what you can do well and just playing to that, or just knowing what your strengths are. Just playing to your strengths is another way to say it. So, I have certain, like physically, I'm not overly imposing looking, or really imposing at all. But and then as far as like athleticism, there are things some of my friends can do in the ring that I just cannot do. So again, I got to know kind of what my strengths are, and I play those strengths, which is just kind of having fun, dressing up, and being a character and being over the top. So
Yeah, it's always that's it, just enjoying it and do what you love, eh? And
that's
I
right.
believe I believe in your training as well. You got injured as well. You had the wee injury to your right ear.
That's right. That was my first night in the ring. It was January 14th, 2020. I'll never forget it because I was stepping through the ropes thinking, oh, what a red letter day for me. And then, also I was able to remember that night because I got thrown out of the ring over the top rope, and I kind of lost my hands, and I whacked my ear against the rope, and it hurt. But it was my first night, so I was just kind of more embarrassed than anything. And I was kind of like, oh, no, I'm fine, guys, I'm fine. And one guy was like, no, dude, your ear. And I was like, my ear, is it still there? And I'm touching it. It's like, oh, it's still there. But he's like, no, it's bleeding. I'm like, oh, I'm kind of looking like, where's the blood? And I finally found it here. Yeah, I kind of got my lobe ripped, but 7 stitches up the lobe into my ear first night. How you like that? But since then, it's been I've been lucky, knock on wood, that my wrestling career since then has been relatively injury free, aside from some bumps and bruises, of course.
Yeah, you always have the few scrapes and grazes. But I mean, getting injured the first time, you sets yourself up for the future. Hey, I can take this now. I can probably take more later down the line.
I did see humor in it. Yes. Like some people might have saw that as a red flag. First night, 7 stitches. Like, dude, that's not for you. You should get out of there. But for me, like I said, I just thought it was funny. I was like, yeah, that's me. That would be me on the first night to get injured like that. But I remember showing up to the next practice with 7 stitches in my ear, and I was still practicing. And then, and I think if anything, like it kind of got me over with a lot of the guys in practice and guys and girls in practice. They thought it was kind of cool. Like, wow, man, 7 stitches first night coming back, stitches in your ear. That's pretty good, So they liked it.
Well, should just adopt the name Workhorse Schultz then. Shall we go for that?
Yeah. I have the pain tolerance of a Mick Foley. Don't quote me on that. I'll never live up to that quote.
Well, further down the line, you've also made matches and appearance in Northland Pro Wrestling, and someone you've had beef with is the Trademark.
Oh yeah.
Now, what's the beef between you and the Trademark for our viewers who are not familiar?
Great question. So I'd say the Trademark's a booker. So typically you'd see a feud in pro wrestling among two wrestlers, right? This wrestler wants a championship title, that wrestler wants a championship title, and a feud will likely ensue. Good guy versus bad guy. But with the Trademark, the booker, him being kind of on the more like administrative side of Northland Pro Wrestling, and then me, kind of, I'm a paper pusher myself, so when it comes to kind of legalities and technicalities and things like that, and last minute changes or contractual things, we've just been kind of butting heads. So I'm kind of like his antithesis. He's like the head of the company or the head of the promotion, and I'm kind of like the anti, or I'm like the villain, I guess, So, but kind of fighting him with the same way, with my paperwork against his paperwork, things like that. So, but yeah, we have that's a fun dynamic because usually you don't get that, So with an in-ring performer and then like an administrator. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, who knows? Maybe you can just file a cease and desist and maybe own Northland Pro Wrestling yourself.
Ooh, I like where your head's at, man. You should be on our creative.
Oh well, hey, I mean, apparently the internet community don't like my creative mind. I say to
what's
many.
That? Oh, nonsense.
Very much so. They're very a fun bunch, aren't they?
Yeah. They got nothing better to do, I guess, than complain.
Oh, I will. Speaking on Northland Pro Wrestling as well, one of your most memorable matches that I've seen around was an Irish street fight you had.
That's right.
A very iconic image is that was you over your opponent and applying their blood as war paint. I just want to talk about your mindset in that match as well as that spot as well. What was going through your head?
No, that's a great point. So we had that match, and it was an Irish street fight, and I says, what's that mean? And the response I got was anything we want it to mean. So I thought, okay. So I think some people were probably thinking it was going to be a little bit more playful, like the weaponry used would be fun things like keyboards or ukuleles, things like that. But they ended up being a little bit more like light tubes and chairs and cookie sheets. And so, but yeah, I hit Cody over the back with a light tube and then opened him right up. Just a light tube's length of a cut. I mean, it was flowing like, Niagara Falls. And so I just remember kind of hitting the deck once and thinking, oh man, I don't know. It just kind of came to me. It was very organic, but I put that on and I got that clip of it on my Instagram. And my favorite part about the clip is not so much me putting it on. It's not even so much the imagery, Ben. I do love the imagery, but my favorite part is the audio. Because once I start doing it, if you turn the audio up, you'll just hear any number of people in disgust go, oh, God, jeez, oh, man, what? Yeah. I hear little girls going, ew, ew. That's what makes me laugh every time I watch that video.
Oh, gonna make the girls cry and all the men cringe.
It's the audio for me. Everybody being grossed out.
Yeah, it seems like people have like this sort of stigma towards those types of matches as well. What's your thoughts about it? Do you think they're just harshly criticized?
Oh man, that's a great question. Well, I mean, here I'll even take my glasses off just to change things up. Ooh, but no, with matches like that, I've heard it said. I heard it said before I did that match that like really matches like that are for people who don't know how to put together a really good match. So they have to rely on things like that to kind of like get the audience's attention because, in and of their own abilities or storytelling capabilities, they don't got it. And so that's kind of where I was, I was like, I'm not going to do anything like that. I'm not doing tax, I'm not going to do anything like that. So, whatever. Had the match. Like I said, I'm in my 30s. I'm not doing this for the money. God knows I'm not doing it for the money. So I'm just doing it for fun. It's a hobby. And I do it because I love it. And so I thought, you know what? It was kind of a snowball effect. It was kind of like, hey, what if we add this? I said, that's fine. We'll do a chair. Okay, what if we do chairs and cookie sheets? And I said, yeah, if I'm already doing chairs, what's the cookie sheet? And then once it got to the light tubes, it's like I was already in for a penny, in for a penny, in for a pound. I'm like, all right, let's just do the whole thing. And so once we did it, I can tell you it was very exhilarating. It was exhilarating to have been in. I didn't want to do it at first, and I was nervous about it. But sure enough, kind of contrary to what I was telling everybody about those matches, that did end up becoming one of my more popular matches. So
hey,
maybe there's something there.
Yeah, if it works for you, ain't broke, don't change it.
I know. I'm going to have to book myself for some more death matches, I guess.
Well, a place that's very popular for those types of matches is GCW.
I was just thinking GCW. It's funny you should say that.
Is that somewhere that might interest you landing up,
Schultz?
Oh,
boy. I don't know. I mean, at this point, I don't, like I said, I'm not ruling anything out. You'd have to trust who you're working with, I'd say, because things can get kind of wild. And even, like I said, even with the kind of the war paint thing, that was never premeditated. That kind of happened organically in the moment. And so you never know what somebody might be feeling in the moment. It could be a good thing, could be a good impulse, but they could be following kind of a wild impulse and maybe, injure you, just because they thought it would be cool, or maybe they were in the moment and they just, oh, sorry, dude, I was just in the moment and I ended up, getting you in the corner of the eye with a chair instead of, square on the head or something, So, like I said, I'd have to trust who I was working with. I trust Cody. So we had a great match. I think we actually have a good chemistry, he and I, in the ring, despite our size difference, But like I said, that's kind of cool too. I'm kind of like the Lex Luthor to his Superman. So
an iconic rivalry for the ages. Maybe see you on the PWI or something like that. By the
way. That's right.
Well, as well, for those not just the death matches, but in general matches, you wrestle in a suit as well. That must be quite a challenge, wrestling in a suit.
Yeah. Yep. Just the shirt, the tie, and the suspenders. I do got it sleeveless.
Hey.
But yeah, hey. But yeah, I can curl like 42 pounds. I'm kidding. Like with two hands, I meant. Yeah, no. But I've been asked that. They're like, hey, does that kind of like affect your cardio? Like, do you get like blown up more or hot or something? And I'm like, yeah, actually, now that you mention it, I think there was a time I had a shirt that was a little too snug. And I do remember one time wrestling in a venue that was awfully hot. And I remember like we did like an opening spot and I was sucking up some air pretty good. And it was the only time I remember having the impulse where I wanted to rip my own shirt off just to breathe a little easier. But I ended up getting a little bit bigger of a shirt. And since then it hasn't been that big of a deal. So.
Oh, well, that's great to hear, man. Great to hear.
Yeah.
Speaking of your offices of Schultz, law and practice and everything, you must have represented many people in the past. You must have a dream client you want to represent. Is there anyone out there, if you were given a choice to represent anyone, who would you go for?
If I could represent anyone in the business.
Anyone in the business?
Not even kind of like a practical answer and then like a dream answer, or maybe you want both. Who knows?
Well, let's go both. Double or nothing.
Let's do both. Well, who would I want to represent? Man, well, there's a lot of fun. So like I work with. I'm working with, a handful of people now. So, and they're all either up and comers or already kind of cool, well established. But man, that's a good question. And unfortunately, I don't have a hot slam dunk answer right now. I wish I did, but maybe we'll come back to it. Let's circle back to that one.
Yeah, circle back to it. Well, someone who's also got their own law and practice as well and is part of AEW is Smart Mark Sterling.
Just thinking that, Smart Mark.
Yeah, he's been representing Jade Cargill and now appears to be representing Tony Nese as well. And what's your thoughts on Smart Mark? Is someone you look up to, maybe someone you see as a rival?
Oh man, it was a bummer. It's another piranha in the tank. It was funny because I was playing around with this character since like 2020. Of course, he could have been playing around with that character since then or longer too. Who knows? But I just remember like, it seemed like the wrestling lawyer was kind of a funny novelty. And I even remember my buddies who kind of helped create the character because it wasn't all me, like a lot of my friends helped put this together. In fact, funny story is the idea for this character wasn't even mine. It was given to me by somebody. Somebody recommended. They said, "Hey, you shouldn't be wrestling." And I was kind of taken aback by that. I said, "What? Like, do you think I suck or something?" And he's like, "No, I think you should be managing. You look like you could be a lawyer, like a wrestling lawyer." And then he just kind of went on and on about how good that idea was. And I just remember hearing once that you shouldn't try to force a gimmick. It should happen organically. And I had like 2 or 3 ideas that weren't really panning out. And once he said that, I thought, you know what? I'll take it. I'll work with that idea. And then, like I said, a lot of my other friends were kind of helping develop character and kind of giving me, some structure and stuff. Mm-hmm. So, so all that to say, I remember doing a funny law commercial, like a cheesy late night law commercial, and then like Mark Sterling did the same thing, man. Like, he's fishing my lake dry. I'm telling you.
Oof. Well, I guess we should have Eric Schultz versus Smart Mark for the bar exam.
Book it. Yeah, bar exam match. And then all we do is hit each other with bars.
Excellent. Pull out the gavel for the knockout win.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, mercy.
Well, that sounds like the plan, man. Well, in general, with the whole business, everything is changing every day to day, with the big 3 companies, WWE, AEW, Impact. For yourself, is there one product that you look at now as a big fan of and think they're doing great stuff?
Yeah, I do like AEW, and because I'm always a fan of WWE, but I don't ever find myself, unfortunately, watching their weekly product. And again, I'm not super loyal to AEW either, but I just remember probably I've been watching AEW more than the other 2 lately, because for one, AEW features a lot more of like people that I know, like, Sky Blue, who I'm wrestling on the 19th of August here this month. We got a one-on-one briefcase on a pole match. So she's on AEW. So I'm looking forward to that. Briefcase on a pole match. And I'm not making that up. It's going to be a thing.
Fun. Yeah.
But, she trained with us, and so she's on AEW now. So that's exciting. There's my friend, that we started with, and or that I started with, and then she had already been in about 4 years by the time I got in. So, and then to see her on TV is just really cool. And obviously, I have any number of acquaintances in the indies who have been on like the Dark, AEW Dark. So it's exciting. So yeah, I tend to follow AEW a little more because they're kind of that good bridge between, WWE and the indies, not to say that they don't have star talent, on their televised product, because they do, but they also seem to be very independent wrestler friendly and kind of reach out to some of the younger talent too.
Yeah, well, hopefully we can see you on maybe Dark and Dark Elevation.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, is there someone particular in mind you would love to face?
I have to go Smart Mark Sterling.
Well, hey,
lawyer versus lawyer.
Yeah, Tony Khan, we'll tag you in this. Book it now, pal. Come on.
Yeah, lawyer versus lawyer.
Well, you've been saying that you're going to have a match with Sky Blue, and that obviously would be an intergender match, as well as death matches. They seem to have a sort of stigma behind them as well. I just want to know, someone participating in them, what's your thoughts on the apparent stigma?
An intergender match?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. And it's a question that, because I still kind of consider myself green, and this will be the first time. I mean, I wrestled in a match with Sky. It was a 3-on-3 or a 6-man tag, however you want to word it. And I got super kicked by her. So, but I don't remember getting any offense in. So I just remember thinking, for the one-on-one, obviously I'm going to have to get some offense in. And I just remember thinking like, I would want to make sure it's done, tastefully, maybe, for lack of a better word. Maybe there are certain optics to avoid, like straight punches or something like that. I don't know. So I've asked a few people. I said, hey, is there a way to approach this that's smarter, than just, like it was just another guy? And I've had some people say, no, you got to treat the female wrestlers just like regular male wrestlers. They're wrestlers. Don't think in terms of male, female. Just think in terms of wrestlers, and wrestle your opponent however you would normally wrestle your opponent. But then on the other hand, I've had some input that say, there are ways, maybe not so much things you should avoid, but maybe ways you can tease it a little bit more. And you don't have to work maybe as hard, and instead of not throwing a straight punch, maybe work up to it. I don't know, or something like that. So I got some good input. I was definitely probably more for this match than any other match, just getting input from some of the older guys and some of the veterans to see kind of what they thought I should do.
Yeah,
because like
no,
I
of
said,
course.
I want to make sure it's done right.
Oh, absolutely as well. And, doing it right is the main thing, and making sure both of you come out the match,
Yeah.
healthy and intact.
Agreed.
Yeah. Oh, well, it seems like Sky Blue might be a bit of a villain of the show as well, because we had Axel Rico on as well, and Axel's had a wee bit of rivalry with Sky as well. So who knows? Maybe we might see Eric and Axel against Sky.
Ooh, yeah. I'd love to work with Axel. He's a friend of mine. We all kind of started. He helped shape Eric Schultz into the character he is today. So I think it would be almost poetic to have like a match with him and face off, and have his almost like Frankenstein's monster. Just his creation would come back to fight him.
Student and master. Oh, this is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Well, Eric, I really appreciate you coming on the show today. We're running out of time here, but I want to give one final thing for our fans. What's the rest of the year looking like for Eric Schultz?
Yeah, so I got a couple new, aside from CSW, which is my home promotion, Chicago Style Wrestling. And then again, on the 19th of August, it's going to be me and Sky Blue one-on-one, briefcase on a pole match. CSW Northland, I think, is early next month, like on the 3rd of September. But I'm also in Crash Tested Wrestling next month in September. Before I even get to September, I'm at All Heels Wrestling, AHW, on the 28th of August. That's a Sunday, I believe. So that'll be my first appearance out there. And I just found out today that I will be at JWA in October. So that's kind of a ways away, but still nice to know that it's another promotion. So just kind of cool to dip my feet in different promotions like that. So.
No, absolutely. Well, it seems like the year's bright and, prosperous for you, my friend.
That's right.
Well, Eric, thank you very much for coming on the show today, pal. As I say, for all our viewers, you need any other wrestling needs, follow Wrestling Republic, follow the channel as well. Keep an eye out for Eric Schultz. If you got any disclaimers or any beef, get him to sort it out for you guys.
That's right.
Well, hey, thanks for everyone for tuning in today. Have a good day. Peace, everyone.